I wonder if you have ever read an advice column called Dear Abby. When I was growing up, it was written by a woman whose real name was Pauline Phillips and is now carried on by her daughter Jean under the same title. Well, I don't read it very often these days, but when I was a lot younger, and had a lot more time on my hands, and read a lot more quickly, I read it most days. Dear Abby answers questions about relationship problems mostly. Quite often, letters would come from women recently widowed or divorced, or men who were lonely for companionship. Where can I go to meet a suitable person to date? That was the question. Quite often, Dear Abby would suggest going to a local church, attending the coffee hour after the church, getting to know some nice church-going people. Well, I took a look at the church's bylaws a few days ago. I didn't see anything that said the church shall provide a dating service for members of the community. I did see that the society is dedicated to creating a safe and diverse community that is intellectually, spiritually, and emotionally supportive to all, without requiring any adherence to a particular religious belief or creed. The truth is that people come to church for a variety of reasons, and looking for a spouse or a partner might certainly be one. And while we don't function as a dating service, of course, if we are successful in creating a safe community that is spiritually and emotionally supportive to all, we are creating the kind of social environment that fosters trust and the forming of relationships that are rich, deep, and satisfying. Maybe even some that will lead to lifelong partnerships. Article 2 of the church's bylaws states, "The purpose of the society shall be to provide a liberal religious organization in which those dedicated to the principles of a free faith may unite for mutual support, study, worship, service, and fellowship." It's a nice statement and a nice purpose and a nice basis for creating spiritual community. If you were going to create a hierarchy of those 5 purposes, which, I wonder, would you put on top? Mutual support, study, worship, service, or fellowship? I expect that in true UU fashion, we would receive a wide variety of responses, including, "I don't see why we have to have a hierarchy. Isn't that what we're trying to get away from here?" Most traditional churches would have no problem. Worship, plain and simple, is a reason to come to church. Here, I think worship would not rank nearly as high. I expect mutual support and fellowship are the reasons most of those who are members join this church. Fellowship with people who have a similar liberal theological outlook, with others who support the principles of a free faith. Support in time of needs from those who truly care about the well-being of each one of us. Others who will do what we reasonably can to help out one another. Study is important. Worship is important. Service is certainly important. And there are those here, I am sure, who hold each one of these elements as the most sacred of all, and who have good arguments for their choices. Myself, I believe that fellowship and mutual support together constitute the glue that makes a community cohesion possible. Spiritual community, the community of spirit, the spirit that transcends intellectualism, partisanship, the insistence on personal preferences. A spiritual community that both creates and partakes of the spirit that each member and each visitor, and each friend, and each guest brings to the table. It's something that we build, and it's something that can transform us. No matter how purposeful our building, it's easy enough for one brick to fall, land on the noggin of a fellow member, and boom, it might feel like we have to start all over again. So, in addition to dedication and purposefulness, another element is needed too, the element of grace. But that's a sermon for another day, next Sunday to be exact. Today, I'd like us to consider the virtues and challenges of community. Many of you probably are familiar with the Myers-Briggs personality type indicator. It was developed by the mother-daughter team of Catherine Briggs and Isabel Briggs Myers during the Second World War, in the belief that a knowledge of personality preferences would help women entering the industrial workforce for the first time to identify the kind of wartime jobs that would be the most comfortable and effective for them. They developed a system based on 4 categories: introversion or extroversion, sensing or intuition, thinking or feeling, judging or perceiving. Depending on an individual's response to the questionnaire accompanying the indicator, any of 16 different personality types within any broad population of human beings will result. Your personality type might be INTJ, introverted, intuitive, thinking, judging, or ESFP, extroverted, sensing, feeling, perceiving, or anything in between. Many of you have filled out the personality indicator questionnaire, I'm sure, and know your personality type. Others, I'm sure, are skeptical of the validity of this kind of test. However you view the methodology of this particular test, the central point, I think, holds true. We have a wide variety of personality types in this congregation and in this room right now. Last week, I was told that there were 69 persons in attendance for our in-gathering service. It's likely that all 16 personality types were present. Even more significant, it's certain that there were 69 different personalities, regardless of the number of types. What does this mean in the context of building a church community? Does it indicate a garden full of wonders of 69 differently beautiful flowers? Or does it indicate the mad challenge of trying to please all 69 personalities in crafting a church service or building a community? Maybe there are 69 wondrously different personalities who appreciate the differences among us and are willing to open our ears and eyes to new ways of hearing and seeing, new modes of being, even. In the society in which we live, as in many societies, there's an emphasis on individual preferences, individual desires, individual agendas. That's part of how we've been socialized to be. But within each of us, too, I am convinced there is a need for companionship, for community, for togetherness, especially as we face the large challenges of society today, and even these days as a species. We come together in, as Unitarian theologian James Luther Adams called it, voluntary association. We come together because we choose to be together. Here, there are friendships that go back decades, and fellowship that has carried on from week to week since before any of us was born, unless there's someone here today who was born in the 19th century. Hundreds of church members and friends over this long span of time have found ways to overcome differences so as to work productively together to accomplish the tasks of fellowship, mutual support, study, worship, and service. There have been arguments along the way, some sorted out productively, some that have ended in bitterness and hard feelings, some, unfortunately, that have ended with someone departing from the church and its community. These things will probably continue to happen, but the better we learn to understand our differences and develop effective communication and coping strategies, the more successful we will be in continuing to build and sustain the healthy relationships that lead to healthy community. It's natural enough for us to gravitate towards those we feel are most like us, who think the way we do, who see the world the way we do, who express the same preferences that we do. That's fine. Those commonalities are often what lead to long and strong friendships. But in church life, friendship is not the only goal. Fellowship, too, has its value. If we prefer to watch Die Hard on Netflix on a Saturday night, and our fellow church member prefers The Notebook or Bridgerton, we can still be in fellowship and maybe even expand our horizons. Our tastes might not be in harmony, but we can bring our personalities into harmony, at least for the short time that we are together on a Sunday morning or afternoon. Of course, it's not just in matters of taste that we will differ. We'll differ in our opinions of direction, the direction that the church should take. It will help if we have a chance to express to one another the things that matter most to us at church, the things that keep us coming back week after week, year after year, the things that help give meaning and purpose to our lives, the things that will continue to make this church valuable to others in the generations to come. We will have an opportunity to share our thoughts and feelings on these topics in the weeks to come, beginning with a series of cottage meetings that the parish committee will be hosting between Columbus Day and Thanksgiving. These small get-togethers will provide an opportunity to meet each of you in a small group setting, for me to get to know you better, for you to get to know me and the members of the parish committee better, and for all of us to get a better sense of just what it is that makes this church such a special place for you. Fellowship and mutual support, certainly, but also studying together the traditions that have helped form us, traditions each generation has to decide about, what to emphasize, what to marginalize, what to understand as outdated modes of thinking based on all too human bias, prejudice, and privilege. Studying together the lives and thoughts of Emerson, Theodore Parker, Olympia Brown, Hosea Ballou, John Murray, and the work of members of our own generation, Roxanne Dunbar Ortiz, Aubrey Hendricks, Robin D.G. Kelly, and Ibram X. Kendi. Study is important. Worship is important. I remember delivering a sermon on the subject here many years ago, struggling with ways to understand, define, and redefine the word to see whether, in fact, it was a useful word for 21st century Unitarian Universalists. And I remember a conversation with the Reverend Tricia Tumino that afternoon when she said, quite simply, I think worship is just holding high those things we most value. Amen, Tricia. Worship is important. And service, of course, is important. There are so many causes that hold importance for us, so many injustices that need to be addressed, so many opinions as to where our priorities lie, that it's difficult to know sometimes how to proceed without stretching ourselves too thin. At a recent meeting of the social justice team, it was made clear that the group's work is best understood as a vehicle to give form and shape to the desires that many in the congregation have expressed for more action in the community. That perspective made me think that the group might better be named the Social Justice Facilitators. Members of the church community provide the passion, and the social justice facilitators provide the information and the structure for channeling that passion. As Marge Piercy has said, the thing worth doing, well done, has a shape that satisfies, clean and evident. The things that are worth doing will vary, individual to individual, but the work we do together, in whatever form that takes, strengthens and solidifies spiritual community. The Spirit is made flesh, as it were. Each of us brings to the church a work in progress, that work being our life and our being. We might think of ourselves as fully formed individuals, but as long as we are still breathing and still learning, we continue to be formed and to form and inform ourselves. We bring to the church a more or less well-formulated I, our first-person singular pronoun for who we are. The reality, of course, is that in church life, it is the first-person plural pronoun that matters the most, the we that we are working to become. A community whose goal it is to put love at the very center of our life together. Love means compromise. Sometimes it means sacrifice. It means bending sometimes, swaying sometimes, holding our opinions loosely and our desire for togetherness more tightly. The eternal challenge of being true to ourselves and being true to ourselves in community. In the words of the story shared by Kelly today, luckily for you, my friend, I'm here to let you know that when you care for the tree of life, the church of life, it becomes about so much more than just you. Let us dedicate ourselves today and each day that we visit this place to keep our personal desires and preferences in perspective, the perspective that seeks peace, justice, and yes, love of church community.